Welcome to Introduction to the NOAA SBIR program, and today's panelist is Dr. Genevieve Lind. And Dr. Lind is the SBIR program manager at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. And prior to joining NOAA, she worked as a health program specialist in the Division of Translational Research at the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke. And Dr. Lind joined NIH as a AAAS Science and Technology Policy Fellow with the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, where she worked with the SBIR and STTR programs and other initiatives that support the translation of the best scientific discoveries into heart, lung, blood, and sleep technologies. Now, as a fellow, she had the opportunity to do a detail with the Small Business Administration and the Office of Innovation and Technology, which coordinates the policy and the outreach of all the federal agencies that participate in the SBIR and STTR programs. And so Dr. Lind entered the fellowship after spending a year serving as an AmeriCorps Vista volunteer at the Blackstone Launchpad at the University of Montana. And that happens to be a university-based innovation and entrepreneurship center. So in that role, she worked to expand access to opportunity for underserved populations, engage researchers in commercialization entrepreneurship. And Dr. Lind holds a PhD in neuroscience from the University of Montana. So you are well qualified to talk to us on SBIR. Take it away, Dr. Lind.
All right, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining me today to learn about the SBIR program and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. In this presentation, I'm going to start with a high-level overview of the SBIR and the STTR programs, and then I'll get into the details of the NOAA SBIR program. I want to make sure you're aware of that at the beginning of this presentation, because not everything in the overview will apply to NOAA. For example, NOAA does not have an STTR program, but I wanted to start with some general information for those who might be less familiar with these programs and may be interested in applying to multiple agencies. So the Small Business Innovation Research, or SBIR, and Small Business Technology Transfer, or STTR programs are also known as America's Seed Fund, and they are one of the largest sources of early stage capital for technology commercialization in the United States. These programs allow US-owned and operated small businesses to engage in federally supported research and development that has a strong potential for commercialization. The SBIR and STTR programs are congressionally mandated, so any federal agency with a research and development budget over $100 million is required to set aside 3.2% of that budget for small businesses to engage in federal research and development. Additionally, any agency with a budget over $1 billion has to set aside an additional 0.45% for small businesses to participate in cooperative research and development with US-based research institutions. The goals of the SBIR program are to meet federal research and development needs, to increase private sector commercialization of innovation derived from federal research and development funding, to stimulate technological innovation, to foster and encourage participation in innovation and entrepreneurship by women and socially or economically disadvantaged individuals, and to foster technology transfer through cooperative research and development between small businesses and research institutions, which is a particular goal of the STTR program. There are 11 federal agencies with SBIR programs shown here on this slide. Additionally, 5 federal agencies have STTR programs, and those are the agencies shown in the darker blue. This amounts to about $3.2 billion in SBIR funding and $450 million in STTR funding, and over 5,000 new awards every year. Just as a heads up, the Small Business Administration is the coordinating agency for the SBIR and STTR programs, but they don't provide any funding directly from themselves. So now maybe you're wondering, how do I get my hands on some of that money? What is a small business? And just so you're aware, the applicant for the SBIR and STTR program has to be a small business. The award is always made to the small business. So a small business is defined as a company. It must be a for-profit, U.S. owned and operated with under 500 employees. The work proposed in your application has to be done in the United States, and the focus of the award in the SBIR and STTR programs is on research and development, and it's not necessarily for purchasing of equipment or commercializing a technology that has already been developed. Some of the key reasons why seeking SBIR funding can support your small business: it provides seed funding for innovative technology development. There is no repayment required. It's not a loan. This is non-dilutive capital. With SBIR and STTR programs, the small businesses retain the intellectual property rights. All data, proposals, reports, etc. are protected for 20 years under the program. Being awarded an SBIR or an STTR award can provide recognition, verification, and visibility for your technology, and which can then provide leverage to attract other funding and collaboration, for example, venture capital or other strategic partnerships. It can also lead to sole source acquisition of resulting technologies at any of the 11 participating federal agencies. So in general, the SBIR and STTR programs are structured in 3 phases. Phase 1 is to support feasibility or proof of concept work. These awards range from about 6 months to 1 year and range in amount from $50,000 to $250,000. Phase 2 of the program supports full research and development, and these awards are generally for 24 or more months. And the amount of the awards can range from about $500,000 to $1.5 million. The objective of Phase 3 of the SBIR program is for the small business to pursue commercialization objectives resulting from Phase 1 and Phase 2 research and development activities. Phase 3 is not funded through SBIR funding. As a reminder, this slide is, again, a high-level overview, and I will provide the specific details about the NOAA SBIR program later on. Generally, the SBIR and the STTR programs are very similar in many ways, except for these 4 critical differences. First of all, the STTR program requires partnering with a nonprofit institution. The SBIR program does allow this, but it's not a requirement. Secondly, with the SBIR program, the PI must be greater than 50% employed by the small business. With the STTR program, the PI can either be employed by the small business or the research institution. Next, with the STTR program, there's a requirement that at least 40% of the work be done by the small business and at least 30% by the research institution partner. With SBIR program, you can contract up to 33% in Phase 1 and 50% in Phase 2. And finally, majority VC ownership is allowed by some agencies with the SBIR program, but not by NOAA, but it is not allowed with the STTR program. Another set of differences to pay attention to is the differences between the agencies in terms of the implementation of these programs. First, and probably foremost, any SBIR program is going to serve the mission of the agency that it is a part of in terms of the research and development areas that are generally going to be supported. There is overlap between some agency missions, and the technology you're developing may fit into more than one agency. And understanding an agency's mission and talking to agency SBIR program managers is key to developing a successful SBIR proposal. Additionally, there are differences in the number and the timing of solicitations throughout the fiscal year for the different agencies. Agencies differ in how they address the topic areas or the areas that they're looking for ideas for technology in, ranging from very broad to very specific topics that they're looking for. And they also vary depending on whether there's a focus on targeting a commercial market versus an acquisition focus. Agencies can also vary in the award type, amount and the structure of the award. And by structure, I mean whether or not the award is a grant or a contract. And finally, the proposal preparation instructions and the review process can vary at the different agencies. So it's important to understand these processes as you're developing your proposal. The SBA, or Small Business Administration, has developed a series of SBIR tutorials that can be a great place to learn more about the details of this program. These tutorials cover everything from program basics to SBIR data rights to finding topics, and they are available at sbir.gov/tutorials. So now I'm going to transition into talking about the specifics of the NOAA SBIR program. And to reiterate from previously, NOAA does not have an STTR program, so I'll only be talking about SBIR from this point. As I mentioned previously, understanding an agency's mission is key to developing a successful SBIR application for that agency. So NOAA is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and NOAA's mission, which is founded in science, service, and stewardship, is to understand and predict changes in climate, weather, oceans, and coasts, to share that knowledge and information with others, and to conserve and manage coastal and marine ecosystems and resources. NOAA divides its mission into 10 different mission areas, and those are shown here and are weather, climate, oceans and coasts, fisheries, satellites, research, marine and aviation, charting, sanctuaries, and education. Those 10 mission areas are covered by 6 NOAA offices, and those are Oceanic and Atmospheric Research, or OAR, the National Weather Service, the National Environmental Satellite Data and Information Service, or NESDIS, National Marine Fisheries Service, National Ocean Service, and the Office of Marine and Aviation Operations. NOAA also has a number of research labs, which are part of OAR, that are spread across the country and include the Earth System Research Labs in Boulder, Colorado, Pacific Marine Environmental Labs in Seattle, Washington, and Newport, Oregon, the National Severe Storms Laboratory in Norman, Oklahoma, and a number of others. There is a ton of incredible research and programming that takes place across NOAA and the NOAA mission space, and our website, which is noaa.gov, is a great place to start to learn more about the organization. So what our SBIR program is looking for are highly innovative proposals for highly innovative products and services with strong commercial potential that fit within the NOAA mission areas. As you probably noticed, the NOAA mission covers a lot of ground, so to give you a better idea of what we're looking for, here I'm showing some of the technologies that we have supported through the NOAA SBIR program in the past. Beginning in the upper left with the camera array, this was developed as a way to track whale blows night and day using infrared cameras mounted on ships or on shore. NOAA uses the data to estimate whale population sizes based on the number, location, and timing of blows. The red drone in the middle center of the slide was developed as a disaster response drone for underwater mapping and searching in extreme locations. The yellow floating buoy is an innovation that is changing the commercial fishing industry by preventing fishing gear loss and enabling more sustainable fisheries and reducing ocean plastic pollution. In the upper right is a microscope developed using underwater flashlights and attachments that use fluorescent light to help researchers detect and study baby corals. This technology proves so useful that researchers are also using it to view microscopic communities and study microplastics and explore the seafloor. In the next row, the buoy basket is a ropeless system that allows fishing operators to reduce lost gear and fish more reliably and safely in strong currents. In the center to the left of the NOAA emblem, these yellow cages were developed to support line-free fishing, which reduces entanglements and improves the ocean for whales. To the right of the NOAA emblem, this is an AI-based technology that provides tools that detect the position of nearby wildlife, mitigating harmful interactions between marine species, fish farms, and other offshore facilities. On the right, in the center of the slide, this radar image shows the use of the Weather Action Chain Enabler, or ACE technology, which is a tailored visual location-based threat tracking app that provides real-time information about hazardous weather and delivers personalized weather warning notifications. On the bottom row, the orange drone is an uncrewed aircraft system drone with the ability to gather weather data to improve hurricane forecasts. In the center, the green lasers show an atmospheric ammonia flux monitor that uses laser absorption spectrometry to provide rapid and precise measurements of ammonia and other important atmospheric gases. The red cylinder is called EMILY, or the Emergency Integrated Life-Saving Lanyard, which is 6 times faster than a lifeguard and is used for beach and ocean rescues. Finally, on the bottom right, the image with the yellow squares is a computer vision system that helps drones automatically detect seals while performing environmental surveys. This technology helps us observe and measure animal populations. This is just a small sampling of the technologies that we've supported through the NOAA SBIR program. I'm not highlighting these specific technologies to limit you to these areas, but to demonstrate the wide variety of technology types that fit within the NOAA mission space. I will get into more details on our topic areas a little later in the presentation. But first, let's take a step back and look at some of the key logistical details about the NOAA SBIR program specifically. For fiscal year 22, we have an estimated budget of $11 million, which we administer through a grant mechanism. We have 1 solicitation per phase per year. Historically, our applications open in the fall, and we're aiming for a mid-November open date for this fiscal year. And proposals are typically due in late winter, January or February. For phase 1, we are looking for new ideas that are ready for feasibility or proof of concept testing. These are, again, 6-month awards for up to $150,000. We typically award between 15 and 30 awards per year. In fiscal year 20, our success rate was 23%. I will say that due to some changes that we made to the topic areas, we received significantly more applications in fiscal year 21 than prior years, and our success rate was closer to 10% for fiscal year 21. Our phase 2 competition is a limited competition for phase 1 awardees. These awards, again, support full research and development of the technology, and our awards are for 24 months and up to $500,000. Because it's a limited competition and we award 10 to 15 awards per year, the success rate is higher and was about 65% in fiscal year 20. Again, the goal of phase 3 is to pursue commercialization objectives resulting from the phase 1 and the phase 2 research and development activities, and phase 3 is not funded through SBIR funding. Going into more detail looking at our phase 1 timeline, we're currently in the subtopic development process with the target date of releasing our solicitation in November. We're aiming to have proposals due in February of fiscal year 22, with the proposal evaluation process taking place between February and April, and award selection being made in June and July. The start date for our fiscal year 22 phase 1 awards aiming for August of 2022. The phase 2 schedule follows a staggered annual schedule that follows on after the phase 1 timeline. The phase 2 solicitation is typically released 30 to 45 days prior to the end of the period of performance for the phase 1 award. Again, our phase 2 awards are a limited competition for NOAA phase 1 awardees only. The awards are for 24 months and up to $500,000. This year, applications will open in January and be due in March for an August start date. And our phase 2 awardees gain access to the NOAA SBIR Commercialization Assistance Program. The Commercialization Assistance Program, which is provided free of charge for our NOAA SBIR phase 2 awardees, is a mentoring and training program that includes a dedicated industry-specific business consultant to support the transition of the SBIR developed technology into the marketplace. This business consultant helps the small business with the development of a strategic action plan, business plan, or a licensing or go-to-market strategy that is tailored specifically to the needs of the small business. I also want to briefly touch on the NOAA review process and criteria for our phase 1 and phase 2 applications. Our applications are reviewed independently by up to 3 reviewers and scored on 5 weighted criteria. Those are scientific merit and technical approach, the commercial potential and application of the technology or innovation, the level of innovation of the proposed idea, the relevance of the proposal to the NOAA mission, and the team or research environment. Our final award recommendations decisions are made based upon the score rankings, but also include consideration of additional factors, including portfolio balance, diversity across participants, both geographically, by type of institution, by type of partner, and by researchers themselves, an applicant's prior award performance, the inclusion of partnerships or participation of targeted groups, possible duplication of other federally funded research, and of course, our budgets. So those are some of the key high-level details to keep in mind if you are exploring applying to our program. Next, I want to highlight some of the changes we've made to the program in recent years, some of which have been fairly significant and include changes to funding mechanism and updates to other parts of the process. I want to highlight some of this in the next portion of the presentation, especially for those of you who might have applied previously, but also for new applicants, as these changes are really important in understanding the direction that the NOAA SBIR program is moving in. So NOAA recently switched from using contracts to using grants as our funding mechanism. There are a number of differences between grants and contracts, both in their intent and in the execution, and I want to point out some of those key differences here. With grants, payment is defined by annual budget periods and awarded in advance, and is not invoiced as with contracts. This information can be important for a small business in particular and have implications for your financial position. With the use of grants as our award mechanism, we are looking for investigator-initiated proposals. The topics we are putting together are going to be more broad, and we are looking for your innovative ideas within the NOAA mission space, rather than as it is with a contract, which looks to address problems and bring technologies into NOAA, and uses more narrow and specific NOAA-defined subtopics. Also with grants, the goal is a commercializable product or service, rather than a required deliverable to NOAA as with a contract. And this is really key because with these grants, NOAA is not necessarily going to be the customer of the product or service. They need to be developed and thought through with commercial markets in mind. As I just hinted at, these changes in funding mechanism have led to an evolution in terms of the topic areas we're focusing on in the SBIR program. You can find our past requests for proposals as well as abstracts of previously funded projects on our website. And if you look at these, you will see that we've moved from specific, very focused topic areas that we had under the contract system to much broader topics in more recent years. In 2021, the SBIR topics were divided into 5 topic areas, and those were uncrewed systems, blue economy, artificial intelligence, citizen science, and omics. Moving forward, we are hoping to align our topic areas with NOAA's 4 major goals, which are climate adaptation and mitigation, weather-ready nation, healthy oceans, and resilient coastal communities and economies. So we are working to develop broad topics within these categories. We are currently still in the development phase for our fiscal year 22 solicitation. And our funding announcement hasn't been released yet, so I'm not going to get into the specific details with you today. But if you stay tuned to our communication channels, you can get the latest updates on when our funding announcement will be released and what the subtopics are going to be. But hopefully, by aligning with NOAA's 4 major goals, you can get a general sense of whether your technology might be a fit for the NOAA SBIR program. In addition to mission area relevance, NOAA gives high priority to proposals developing technologies that integrate any of the NOAA science and technology focus areas, which include uncrewed systems, artificial intelligence, data and cloud computing, omics, and citizen science. And these can be found at the website shown on this slide if you're interested in learning more about NOAA's ideas around these areas. Some more of the changes that we're looking at making moving forward include, first of all, the addition of a required letter of intent as part of the application process. We hope to let applicants know using a short summary of the technology if their proposal is likely to be responsive to the funding opportunity announcement before they go through the effort of developing a full proposal, similar to the process that the Department of Energy SBIR program uses. This letter will also help us identify and recruit expert reviewers to support a timely review of proposals. More information on the letter of intent will be available when the notice of funding is released. We're also working to evaluate and update our review process as we move towards a greater emphasis on commercial potential, including evaluating our review criteria, potentially adding panel reviews, and including more commercialization expertise in the review process. Finally, in the coming months, we will be releasing a new website with updated information and additional resources to help applicants understand our program and develop a successful application. If you stay tuned to our communication channels, which I will highlight at the end of the presentation, you can learn more about these changes and the resources as they become available. Now that you have an understanding of the program details and the direction that we're moving the NOAA SBIR program in, I want to cover a few basic tips for developing a successful application. As was hopefully clear from our review criteria, the 4 key components of your proposal are science, innovation, commercialization, and your team. NOAA is first and foremost a scientific organization, and science is the foundation of the NOAA mission and should provide the foundation of your application. A large portion of your score is based on the scientific and technical merit of your proposal, so make sure you're clearly identifying the significance of the problem or opportunity and detailing the technical objectives of your proposal from a scientific perspective. But also, be aware that our expert reviewers come from a variety of backgrounds, so try to use language in your proposal that will be understood by a general audience and avoid using too much jargon. Another significant portion of your score is the commercialization potential of your technology. Make sure you have a strong understanding and clear description of the market opportunity, the competitive landscape, and the commercial potential of the technology you are proposing to develop. A third key component of your proposal is innovation. One of the fundamental goals of the SBIR program is to stimulate technological innovation. So be sure to clearly address what problem you are solving, what makes your technology innovative, and what sets you apart from the competition or what is currently available to address that problem. Finally, your team is also an important component of your score. We want to make sure that you have the resources and the scientific and technical expertise necessary to complete the proposed work. Building a team that has all the necessary expertise is a critical part of the process of developing an SBIR proposal. Moving beyond the key components of your proposal, it is essential that you read and follow all the instructions in the Notice of Funding Opportunity. Everything that you need to know about what information you need to provide and how it needs to be organized is found in that NOFO. It is really a bummer when applications don't move forward through the review process because they failed to provide required information or documentation, but this happens every round we go through. So please make sure you read and follow the instructions in the NOFO. We also recommend getting started early and submitting early, so you make sure to give yourself enough time to develop a strong application and submit as early as you are able. Life happens and there are all kinds of things that can cause delays. If you give yourself a buffer in case you encounter obstacles, because we are not able to accept late applications or give extensions to our deadlines, regardless of the circumstances. Finally, especially if you're looking at more than one SBIR program, it is essential to know the details of that program, many of which I've addressed here today, as you're preparing your application. There are a lot of differences between how different agencies administer their SBIR programs, so don't assume that because you applied for a National Science Foundation or a Department of Defense SBIR award previously that the NOAA application and process will be the same. Pay attention to the details and you'll have a stronger application and a better chance of being awarded. So, if after learning about some of the details of the NOAA SBIR program, you think your technology might be a good fit, I want to leave you with some ways to learn more and stay connected so you're ready to submit a high-quality application when the solicitation comes out. NOAA has developed a webinar series that highlights some of the excellent innovators who work at NOAA or in the NOAA mission space. This is an ongoing series that features inventions of NOAA employees and grantees. You can join a future session or browse the video archive to learn more about how NOAA is making the most of its research and development. The archive can be found on YouTube and accessed via this bit.ly link, which is bit.ly/NOAA Innovators Series. In case you don't know, the letter case is important with bit.ly links, so keep that in mind if you're going to type that in. You can sign up for our email list to be notified of future sessions of the Innovator Series that are coming down the road. You can also stay connected to the NOAA Technology Partnerships Office, which houses the NOAA SBIR program and the NOAA Technology Transfer Program, by following us on Twitter at NOAA Innovate. Here we share lots of important updates and resources, including information about the application process or solicitation release, success stories of our applicants, upcoming events where you can engage directly with NOAA SBIR staff in person or virtually, and other resources that will help you learn more about the NOAA SBIR program. Finally, more information about our program is available on our website, which is techpartnerships.noaa.gov/SBIR, and can also easily be found by typing NOAA SBIR into your favorite search engine. You can find contact information, funding updates, FAQs, and other resources here. And as I already mentioned, we're going to be launching an updated website with additional resources in the next few months. To sign up for our email list, just send an email with subscribe in the subject line to noaa.sbir@noaa.gov. This is the best way to get up-to-date information about the program as soon as it becomes available. Finally, if you have additional questions or want to connect directly with program staff, you can email us at noaa.sbir@noaa.gov, or my email is genevieve.lind@noaa.gov. I want to thank everyone for joining me today to learn more about NOAA's SBIR program, and I look forward to connecting with you all in the future and answering any additional questions you might have.
All right, thank you, Dr. Lynn. That was a wonderful presentation. I've been doing this for a lot of years, and I say that was actually one of my favorite SBIR presentations. So as
I love
Dr.
it. Thank you.
As Dr. Lynn said, we're in the Q&A session, so I do want to remind everybody that at the bottom of your control panel, you do have the ability to submit questions, and I will pass those on to Dr. Lynn. And we did have one question come in while you were presenting, and this is from Yana, and you were talking about, the team and the percentage of people that have to be on the project. She asked, can a business involve 2 universities in the NOAA SBIR proposal as subcontractors totaling 49%?
Yeah, so it depends on the phase and the SBIR versus STTR program. So you can partner with more than one institute or agency. You just want to make sure you're following those guidelines of, if it's SBIR, 33% has to be done by the small business, and 50% in phase 2, or STTR is 40% and 30%, and then the other 30% can be done by either, both, or another partner.
Okay, and Shrees has asked what TRL is expected to apply for phase 1?
Yeah, we're looking for really early ideas that are just in the feasibility and proof of concept testing phase.
Okay, that empties out the queue for right now. There's a couple folks out there that still have questions or are being a little shy, so I do want to encourage you to go ahead and submit your questions. This is one of your few opportunities to actually talk to somebody at the NOAA SBIR program and find out specifics about your thoughts and ideas and proposals. All right, so Gaurav says, thanks for the presentation. Does NOAA prefer or encourage interaction with program directors prior to the proposal submission to better align projects with NOAA's mission?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're not sure if your idea fits within the NOAA mission space, we definitely encourage you to reach out to program staff, which would be me.
Yeah, one of the innovations I liked is you guys are doing that letter of intent now, which, that's a great way to find out before you go through the entire proposal thing, is my idea going to fit in there? And so I think that's going to save people a lot of grief if, they don't have something that's quite the fit that they want.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a real help for us and for the small businesses.
So we've once again emptied out the queue. So while we're waiting for somebody else to get some courage and type something in the bottom, one of the things you mentioned in your program was talking a little about one of the 4 criteria was the team, and a little bit about the diversity of the team. Can you expand a little bit on that? Because we already had one question talking about 2 universities, being partners.
Yeah, absolutely. So the diversity of the team is not necessarily a scored criteria. For the scored portion of the team component, it's more Does your team have all the necessary scientific and technical expertise to complete the work that you've proposed? But as I mentioned, after we evaluate the scores and we make sure we're looking at the subset of applications that are technically superior, we also do take into consideration the diversity of the team, geographical diversity, diversity of partnerships, or sort of priority areas and focuses within the NOAA mission space that we're interested in supporting ideas in.
All right, and apparently our discussion of the letter of intent caused Jana to think of a question, and that is, does NOAA encourage letters of support from non-partners such as potential customers?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's more information about that in our NOFO about what we're looking for letters of support, but it's definitely helpful for your application if you have support from potential commercial markets, commercial partners, users of the technology describing how valuable it would be to them. We prefer up to 3 letters of support with the application at phase 1.
Okay, and Gaurav is back asking, will STEM education be one of the topic areas in fiscal year 22?
So in 21, one of our topic areas was citizen science and STEM education. As I pointed out, we're moving the topics back into more mission-based ideas, climate, weather, oceans, coasts, but we encourage the use of those, the incorporation of applications that are aligned with those science and technology focus areas, which citizen science and STEM education is one of those topic areas. So we shifted that just to make it clear that the ideas need to be within the NOAA mission space, but we are highlighting that these are priority areas that we're looking to develop ideas in, and citizen science is one of those.
Okay, well, apparently we'd triggered some folks to put in some more questions here at the bottom, so we got 4 more. Gaurav has also said, from the list of past winners, NOAA review appears to give significant weightage to previous awardees or to companies with prior relationship with NOAA. What will be the focus on supporting new companies going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think an ongoing challenge for all SBIR programs. Once someone figures out how to develop a successful SBIR application, it can just be a little bit easier to navigate the system. So we definitely want to prioritize and support new companies, and that is definitely a priority and potentially something we might take into consideration in that later stage of the review process where we're looking at portfolio balance and previous history of the companies. That is one of the things on that list of things we keep in mind, and that is not with the intention of supporting companies who have been awarded previously. That is just to make sure that we're supporting a diverse set of companies, for sure.
All right, looks like one of our questions was a repost, so we'll skip that one. And next we have Hannah. And Hannah has asked, is artificial intelligence and or machine learning a focus area for NOAA, specifically the test, evaluation, validation, and verification of AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, being used internally for different missions?
Yeah, so AI, using AI as a tool to address issues within the NOAA mission space is certainly a priority for NOAA. It sounds a little bit like that person is asking whether we're looking for technologies to incorporate into NOAA, and that's not the focus of the NOAA SBIR program. We're really looking for applications that are specific to commercial markets, with NOAA not necessarily being the customer and certainly not being the targeted customer at the initial phase 1 proposal portion of the process. So we definitely are looking for AI tools to address issues in the NOAA mission space, but not necessarily with NOAA as the customer for those ideas.
Yeah. So, for example, somebody developed like a AI guided vessel of some sort. It was totally crewless. That might do something for NOAA. It also has applications out there for fishermen or navies, or there's other
Yeah,
for it.
absolutely. That's essential. Having more other customers beyond NOAA is critical to our program.
And that's one of the things here in Arkansas, the ASBTDC can help. We're kind of unique among the 50 states in that we actually have market research folks on staff. And we have some dedicated staff. The T in our name stands for technology. So we've got Rebecca as our primary innovation consultant. So she helps with the proposal development. And then she's also backed up by some MBA students that are doing some of the market research. So when we do the proposals and work with you, to help you develop those proposals, we can help with some of that commercialization, the market research, and help you figure out, is there a market, for your idea. So I would encourage you, to, if you're here in Arkansas, work with ASBTDC. I know a couple of you folks are out of state. There's one at least from Georgia. I don't know what the Georgia SBDC is able to do, but reach out, because there are partners out there that can help you with the development and help you figure out how do you commercialize this and everything. All right, once again, we've emptied the queue, so we'll make another call here. And
Tim, I just wanted to add one more thing to the previous question about supporting new companies versus companies that have previously had awards. I think that's also one of the goals of NOAA switching from contracts to grants. I think with the contract system, it may have been the case that we had companies that were used to our proposal system and that had worked with NOAA previously, and so sort of had a better sense of what we were looking for. But moving towards grants, we're really focusing on looking for investigator-initiated ideas. We don't want you solving NOAA problems. We want you solving problems within the NOAA mission space. So I think the move from grants to contracts will also help us support new companies with new ideas.
Well, it's strange you should talk about new companies, because that's just a question Gaurav just submitted to us, asking, is there any data on how many of the awardees were startups, for example, companies less than 3 years old or less than 10 employees?
Yeah, I don't have the specific numbers on that. All of the SBIR award data is publicly available on the Small Business Administration's website. So certainly if people are interested in that, they can find some of that information there. From my experience in my time with NOAA, I would say the vast majority of our companies are under 10 employees. Most of the companies we work with are small startups focused on working and solving problems within the NOAA mission space.
I know from a lot of our SBIR work here in Arkansas, a lot of the companies work with are very, very small, or in their first few years of getting started a lot of times. So, don't let that be a detriment to putting in a proposal, especially if you have a really good idea. All right, so Gaurav has said thank you to us both. And once again, we've emptied out the queue. So we'll make a final call and see if anybody has any last minute questions. We've had a couple people drop out. And while we're doing that, I'm going to change presenters here real quick. All righty, so no takers on that. So do want to thank everybody for being with us. Just remind you that you can reach out to ASBTDC at asbtdc.org is our website. You can call us toll free in the state of Arkansas at 800-862-2040. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter, LinkedIn. We have a YouTube channel, which as soon as this is over, I'm going to get busy processing the video and have that up on YouTube, probably ready for you to view about 1 or 2 o'clock this afternoon if you can't wait for the email tomorrow. I've taken notes, and I've got the link for Bitly. We'll make sure you get a good working link for that. the Twitter channel so you can follow NOAA Innovate, and get you a link there to the tech partnerships .noaa.gov SBIR page as well. So I think we've got pretty much all that information. All right, as usual, ASBTDC is a partnership with the U.S. Small Business Administration, the SBA funds, and SBDC program in each of the 50 states and 6 overseas territories. Here in Arkansas, the University of Arkansas at Little Rock College of Business, Health, and Human Services manages that program for the state of Arkansas. We, in turn, partner with 10 additional universities around the state, providing services to all 75 counties. So it does not matter where you are in the state. If you need help, applying for a NOAA SBIR proposal, reach out to our offices, and we can get you the help. Right now, a lot of our universities are still requiring us to work virtually, but we've got the tools, and we've been helping people for about the last year and a half through the pandemic submit their proposals to the various SBIR programs with some success here and there. So I do want to encourage you to reach out to us.